Well, shalom. I'm Jay Dudley, and I am just standing around enjoying the day. Not daydreaming, but that's what I'm going to be talking about dreams. When I'm trying to think, the last time that I remember having a dream when I was asleep, I was really young. It was a team up fight between Chucky, Jason, Freddy Krueger, uh, Hellraiser, and trying to think who else. Was Michael Myers in there? I think he was. Was really young. Started watching some of those horror movies. I actually went to go see. Uh, was that what was the name of that with the movie with Chuck Child's Play? I actually went to go see Child's Play in the movie. With someone from my church, which I started having nightmares instantly over that. But the last one that I do remember, it was a fight team up, and it was Freddy Krueger and Hellraiser on my team, and we were fighting everyone else, and we ended up beating up and killing everyone that was trying to scare me. And there are some think these are hornets or wasps over here. I'm not sure. Going to have to take care of that. But um, as I after that dream, I felt like I stopped dreaming, or at least I wouldn't remember the dreams when I would wake up. It would be very rare that uh, that I would think that I was dreaming or something like that. As I started driving, adrenaline started pushing daydreams on me, and uh, those would get extremely deep. So, if any of you know that I used to drive really fast, and by really fast, I don't mean 10, 15, 20 miles per hour over the speed limit. I depended on the vehicle between 130 to 170 consistently. That was that's just who I was. I didn't drink alcohol. Well, I didn't drink alcohol and drive. That was a good thing. I did like maybe 2 or 3 times a year I would drink alcohol, and uh, I never smoked weed or anything like that. I just had a comfort in adrenaline, and my heart rate would stay low. I would be good, just flying down the highway. What ended up happening is if something that I couldn't see down the road and process, or because I was using the Smith driving system before I even knew anything about it, having 15-second eye lead time and all this other stuff. That actually prepared me very well for being a over the road truck driver, because it became second. Well, it was actually first nature to me. So I would, as far as I could see down the road, I would look at every vehicle. I would look at every intersection, on ramp, or anything like that, looking for all types of dangers, looking for animals, looking for potholes, dips, swerves, all types of stuff, as I'm doing 100 plus down the highway. Then I am looking at every vehicle. It's trying to figure out and understand, or predict what the vehicles are going to do. So if I see a vehicle maybe about 5 or 6 car lengths behind another vehicle, there's a high chance that that vehicle is going to get over in front of me in the left lane, because if they're driving that slow on the highway and there's no exit coming up, they're definitely going to be changing lanes. So I was able to predict with a high percentage rate what every vehicle was going to do on the road. So that's one of the things that would make me safe. Uh, if my brain was moving too slow to predict that stuff, uh, or something out of the ordinary that I wasn't expecting would happen, I I would react to it, avoid it, and then everything would be fine. But then the same situation would pop back up again. Then everything wasn't fine. Like, so a car in front of me got over in front of me. I ended up hitting them. I flipped my vehicle. People in my vehicle got ejected. The person, there was children in the vehicle. I smashed into that. I ended up getting arrested for killing a child, and then having to go to court and all this other stuff. I then would end up avoiding that vehicle, losing control, hitting an embankment, and then feeling my life being taken out from me because I was crushed in the vehicle. But then all of a sudden, I'm past that situation and I'm another mile or two down the road, and people that's in a vehicle with me are saying, "You okay? What's wrong? Are you all right?" And then I'm looking at them like, "Oh, we're fine. Why am I seeing all of this stuff?" Hey, that was another big wasp or hornet. Why am I seeing all of this stuff? Why am I experiencing all of this stuff when it's not happening? Like, I think the longest daydream that I had lasted for about 2 years. I I of course speeding, and then I avoided an accident, but in my mind I didn't avoid an accident. I ended up crashing, going to court, uh, going to jail, having to answer to people's families for the things that happened, for the people that were in a vehicle with me, uh, having to go to funerals, all of this stuff, then getting let out of jail, and then all of a sudden, once I received my freedom, I would wake back up, but I was back driving again. Like, how is this stuff happening? So, where I'm at now, and this fly keeps tapping on my arm, where I'm at now is realizing that it wasn't a daydream, it was Yah giving me the warnings of what could happen, giving me the opportunities to try and figure out that this isn't what I need to be doing. I need to wake up, or this is going to become my reality. He was he was protecting me, as he's done so many other times. Like with when I was younger, I would have these out of nowhere injuries, which I'll talk about in another video. Like my grand mal seizure, my leg surgery, stopping breathing for 45 minutes. It it was his way of reminding me that he was still there, even though I walked away from my faith. I stopped attesting those experiences to Yah, so he made them more and more intense. Like, how can I bring you back to where you need to be, assisting me and helping me to be able to spread my word and my message. So he would throw all of these visions of damnation, torture, torment, pain, all this stuff my way, and I wasn't recognizing it, that he was sending an angel to give me these visions of uh, of recognition of what it could be, but Yah is watching over me. there were so many things, so many times where I wasn't supposed to. I wasn't supposed to. Uh, Not even drive away. I wasn't supposed to walk away. I had. I had this one accident which set up a chain reaction of events. Um, I remember. I guess this video will be posted after that. But in my previous video, one of my previous videos, I was talking about how I was just sexually charged when I went to church trips, and a good friend of mine, we decided to, like, I was already halfway out the church, but this event happened. The Christian Education Conference in Delaware. So we were like, you know what? I'm not really into this anymore. I'm not really into this anymore, but I am still going to go see a few females that I know that are either in the country that I haven't seen in a long time, or are somewhat local but are going to be down there. So we drove down, had a Dodge Spirit, because I wanted a Ford Taurus SHO, but my mother wouldn't let me get it. She's like, "Oh, you don't know how to drive a stick?" "Yes, I do." "No, you don't." I wonder what that would have been like, even though a year or two later I ended up getting a Ford Taurus SHO, so maybe it was a good thing that I didn't get that one and I ended up getting the one that I did, because it would have been a major problem if I would have had that one that early in life. But I'm getting off the story. So we hopped on a turnpike driving down to Delaware for the Christian Education Conference, and I was working, also going to school, all of this stuff. School, meaning high school. I was cheaping out on things, so there was a a junkyard that they would take all the gasoline out of the vehicles and dump it into this one gasoline thing, and if people wanted it, it's free. You could go there and have it, so I was going to use that. So we got on the road, went down to Delaware, had a good time. On the way back, the vehicle kept shutting off. It would overheat, shut off. We have to sit and wait, start it back up, go another 10-20 miles, then it would overheat, shut off again, or the fuel filter was clogging up. I still never know what actually caused the problem, but we'll get to the reason why. We ended up getting back to Plainfield, New Jersey. From Delaware, it took us about 11 hours for that trip, and I had to go to a class at Union County Votech. And I went inside, went to sleep for a little bit. Then I woke up. I ran out the door. I was told that I ran out the door with a pillow because I don't remember it. Hopped in the car so I could get to the class. So I driving to the class. Then I woke up in the hospital. Didn't know anything of what went on. There's people standing around me. The police are there. There's a police officer there asking me, "Well, what do you remember after I regained consciousness?" I said, "I have no idea. I'm assuming I fell asleep behind the wheel because I was driving all night from Delaware." And he said, "Okay, well, that's not what happened. This is what happened. You crashed into a Bell Atlantic truck head on, and then you lost consciousness." I was like, "I did? I guess, if that's the case, but I still must have fallen asleep behind the wheel and ended up like that." He said, "No. All the witnesses on the scene said that a little kid ran out in the middle of the street and you swerved out of the way and went head on with this Bell Atlantic cable truck, and it was like, oh wow, I had no idea. He was like, well, yeah, you ended up saving that kid's life, uh, but almost ended up sacrificing your own. It was like, wow, that's a lot. So I guess I didn't fall asleep behind the wheel. Then my mother and stepfather got there, picked me up. Then we went to the car to go clear out my belongings. Oh, and I'm in the hospital. Uh, they said that um, I was not unconscious during the accident, but when I got in the ambulance, that I went to sleep. Then they just brought me inside and was monitoring me, but I don't remember any of that. And the only thing I had was a little scratch on the top of my head. So after my mother and stepfather came pick me up, we went to the to where the vehicle got towed to, and I'm walking with my stepfather, talking to him, and my little sister is in tow, and my mother goes to the fence of where the vehicle is, and she dropped to the ground. I didn't know why or anything like that. But then, as we caught up to her, I looked at my vehicle. It's like, holy crap! I shouldn't have survived that. The roof of the car, let's say the roof of the car was about here. It was pushed out maybe about 4 or 5 feet from my head, hitting the roof of the car and pushing it out. Then the engine was in the driver's seat. The steering wheel was in the passenger seat. So where was I at? The seatbelt was cut, so I had my seatbelt on. But it made absolutely no sense for the full engine to be in the driver's seat. Steering wheel, like, I smashed into this giant Bell Atlantic truck. I broke the steering wheel off, pushed the roof of the roof like out with my head. I didn't have any major injuries, just a little cut on my head. There was no burns on me from the engine, or my clothes weren't torn or anything like that. And that was one of those moments where I couldn't explain it, and I didn't attest that to God. I was already into my apostasy, whereas like, well, Christianity isn't for me. This is no good. I am going on my own pathway, figuring out things for myself. But I was grateful to be alive. My mother was grateful, and everyone else was grateful to be alive, because it made no sense that I was able to survive. And looking back, I think that wasn't the last time that there was a saving grace during something serious, where I got into an accident and everyone was able to walk away fairly unharmed. But I am grateful that I can look back on that experience knowing that Yah protected me, protected that little kid, and tried to give me all of these warnings to turn back to Yah, or at least turn back home when we got on the road and the vehicle kept shutting down, because he knew that I was going to do stuff that I shouldn't be doing down there with the females that we were going to visit, where I should have been focused on him, focused on what I was supposed to be doing and getting my education. But no, I'm out chasing women. And I ended up a few years later working for Bell Atlantic. think they knew that I was involved in that accident, but that's a totally different story. But I am grateful for everything that's happened to me and all of the journeys that I've been on, because it is giving me the opportunity to have life lessons to be able to pass on to those that need to hear it. So that was it for this story. I hope you all receive something from it. Shalom.